Welcome everybody to our workshop, Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Call to order. Item B, declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. Welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. Item C, hearing of citizens. I don't believe we had any for the workshop. And item D, D1, 2024 STAR results.
Good evening, President Horak, Dr. Harkrider. I'm here this evening to present our preliminary 2024 STAR and state accountability rating results to you all. So just as a short recap, 2024 STAR assessment was our second year of what they're calling STAR 2.0 with the new question format. There were limited changes from 23 to 24 with that STAR format. Overall, the testing process went very well, all online, a few exceptions, but for 99% we were all online. TEA continued to use the parent portal and their website to share results, and then paper copies are available as well if there's any families that need them on their campuses. So with the test design and passing standards, just before we walk into all the tables that we have prepared for you, I want to remind you the highest level of rigor that they can receive on this STAR assessment is what they call a master's level. That is what the agency says shows mastery of the course content and they're on track for college and career readiness. Meets grade level is where they have a strong knowledge of the course content and will probably progress very well in the next grade level or subject. Approaches is where they know some of the knowledge, but they probably still have gaps in some critical elements, and so they're going to probably need some additional targeted support the next year. And they did not meet the standard, did not pass that STAR assessment. So we're going to walk through the state and district performance. Some of these are views you're used to seeing, some are new views. So we're going to start with reading. We'll go through each area by content. So for grades 3 through 8, this is our overall state to College Station ISD view. And we succeeded the state in every category, grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we're going to take it a little bit deeper and we're going to look at each grade by subject. So this is 3rd grade reading. Each of our campuses, you will see in blue the 2023 Spring STAR. So that was the very first year that we gave this STAR 2.0. In the green, you'll see Spring of 24, which is this past test, this most current year of data results. And then in the far right-hand column, in the yellow, you'll see the difference between 23 and 24. We broke that down by the number of students in that grade on that campus, the percentage at approaches, meets, and masters. So just a quick point out here, if they pass and reach approaches, that's one level. But when we take this and make the assessment and the accountability connection, when we can get a child into that meets level, we actually get double credit for them. And when we can move to that most rigorous level of masters, we actually get triple credit for them in the accountability STAR performance. So the green there is a gain, and the red there is a decline.
Quick questions as
Yes,
we're
sir.
reading this. So it's 3rd graders, so it's different groups in 2023-24.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is just grade to grade. It is not cohort.
So the
Great
next one,
question.
the 4th graders, will be in 2024 from 2023.
Yes, sir. So then we're going to move to 4th grade. With the 10 campuses, we have to split them into slides. So this is 4th grade reading. So these were the 3rd graders. These were the 4th graders in 23 and the 4th graders in 24. So it's 2 different sets of students. This is not a cohort. So these students this year in 2025 will be 5th graders on their intermediate campus for the most part. Okay, then we go to intermediate, which is our 5th and 6th grade campuses. Fewer campuses, so we were able to fit 5th and 6th grade on the same slide. Yes, ma'am.
The other ones you'd said that, and I think I can do the numbers and confirm that here's approaches and like that yellow approaches column includes the master's meets and approaches.
Yes.
Got it. Even though
Great.
The other ones you'd written it on top. of.
Another great question. The approaches is actually approaches and above. Meets is actually meets and above. And masters is the masters. Okay, great question.
So that's everybody officially by the state passing, but as you said, the other two columns get more
Yes, ma'am.
points. Okay.
Okay, then for grades 3 through 8, we finish up with middle school reading, grades 7 and 8.
Are you going to tell us what we should be looking at, or do we get to figure that out? I mean, I have obviously what I kind of feel like I
I'll
should be
have some
looking at,
bullet
but,
points when we get through all 4 core subjects.
okay.
Okay? And I'll make the accountability connection. And I'll gladly answer questions if I don't answer those. Okay?
Yeah, the biggest thing you're looking for is you're going to have a 1 to 3% movement year to year. It's not anything major. If you get above 5% or higher, especially any double-digit gains or double-digit losses are definitely problematic because those are big swings. 1 to 5%, not as much, but if you get 8 up to double digits, either way, it's really good. If it's in the green area and we have double-digit losses, it's obviously concerning.
Yeah. And I'll just say, I mean, there are a lot of ways to look at it. Obviously, there's a lot of information here, which is great. And I always want to look at data from year to year, and then also making a comparison like between us and who we want to compare to. And like I think we said before, we always do really well against the state, but you know, maybe that's not the only comparison. Maybe we can do and should do better than that. I would expect us to, want us to. But so when I've looked at this one, for instance, I look at CSISD, our 7th grade reading overall dropped 6%, right? Am I interpreting that right?
Yes, ma'am.
But Region 6 dropped even more, and the state also dropped about the same. They're all within a
ma'am.
point, like you said, Dr. Harkrader. And then look at 8th grade reading, on the other hand, we actually increased 3%, right, and across all 3 campuses, and the state dropped 4, well, the Region 6 dropped 4, the state dropped 3. That was one thing that when I looked at,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so I'm interpreting that right.
Yes, ma'am.
Best comparison data that we do not have yet because of the lawsuit involving STAR scores is we as a district and every single campus on every tested measure would get what they call a comp group, meaning 40 schools that are very similar to us in enrollment and demographic data. And that's your truest form of comparison because it's someone that looks just like your campus.
Yeah. So I will move to mathematics 3 through 8. So again, our big umbrella view of how College Station ISD compares to the state for grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that's at who's passing, which we exceed the state except for 7th grade math, but we do have a very advanced math program in College Station ISD. So then we will dig deeper. Here is your 3rd grade math. And again, in that differences column, you will see the shifts, green positive, the red negatives from 23 to 24, the 2 years of STAR 2.0. Then we have 4th grade math. Okay. Now we switch to our intermediate schools with 5th and 6th grade math. And then our middle schools with 7th and 8th grade math. With your 7th grade math, only 52% of the 7th graders actually took the grade 7 math. The other 48% of our 7th graders took advanced math, whether that was their grade 8 math star or Algebra 1 end of course. And you can see in the 8th grade math how it spreads out to include our intermediate schools, because those students also can participate in advanced math pass. But they do well.
Yeah, I was even looking, so at the 7th grader though, it looks like we actually had a lot more students, quite a few more students take that test this year. Am I right? Yeah, the
Yes.
92, is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It'll vary year to year of how many
Yeah.
kids are
Yeah.
on that pathway to go the advanced math track.
Or not.
It varies.
So that will also probably affect the scores
Yeah.
for that. Okay.
Absolutely. So then we move to science, which is only tested by STAR in grades 5 and 8. So again, our umbrella view of how we do compared to the state. Once again, we exceeded the state. And then we take a deeper dive, science grade 5 at our intermediate schools and science grade 8 at our middle schools. And we do have a few 8th graders, a handful, that take biology. A little bit of advanced science there. Okay, then last but not least, at our 3 through 8 is social studies, which is 8th grade only. Once again, we're above the state. And then as we look at the 8th grade social studies from our 3 middle schools, their data. Okay, we're going to shift to end of course exams. So the end of course exams, just to remind you, you take at the end of whenever you're taking the course, regardless of what grade you are in. So for our end of course, the umbrella view as a district, we again have exceeded the state. And then I'm going to present it by subject. So here is your math, which is just the Algebra 1 EOC. Spring of 23 to spring of 24. So these were enrolled in that course during that school year. And you can see we can have students at the middle school to high school in those. Your biology. I do not have any middle school students reported here because they take the test and are associated with the high school for that. Plus the numbers are so small. I mean, there's less than 5 in the district, so I can't report them publicly. And then also you will see there that Accelerated Academy, which is our dropout recovery campus, it has asterisks because the numbers are so small. We don't need to put them publicly. Then I have English 1 and 2 on the same slide. Again, we have a few students taking English 1 in middle school, but numbers are too small to publicly post. Okay, then last but not least with our STAR data is U.S. history. So some highlights from this data that I want to point out is, once again, we're high, all subjects, every grade, all EOCs except for that grade 7, we're above this, we're good. This 2023 STAR data, I just want to touch base on that. This district does a very good job in the summer of STAR data digs. Well, our 2023 STAR data wasn't made available till well into the school year. So we did not have adequate time as a district, curriculum and instruction and other areas to do our usual College Station ISD data digs to really get a handle on that. And we had those new question item types. And those short constructed response and extended constructed responses and new rubrics are huge in all subjects. And we didn't get that opportunity. So I'm really excited to see what will happen in 2025 once we get to have those correct data digs. Okay. Any other questions about that STAR data before I move into accountability?
That was my question. What the impact? Because we've been talking about with this lawsuit and STAR being delayed every year.
I'm fixing to
And
help
we've.
you with that.
Oh, you got some? Okay.
Mhm.
I'll wait.
Let me know if I don't cover it, okay? But I think I may be I'm going to publicly answer what I can. So one thing we have had is we had an opportunity to bring in Lead Forward. And one of the things they've looked at when you look at this data is this is growth. This is an academic growth chart that's in accountability, which I'll cover here in a minute. But when you look at these, as a district, this is a general, anybody's data view. You have these students that were at masters and were droppers. They didn't perform the same from one year to the next. Almost 50% in this imaginary Learn a Lot ISD that he uses. These students were at meets and did not meet on 2024. They were another performance dropper, and that was almost 20% of this. So what we talked about when we brought in Lead Forward, and I've heard him many times present, and it's usually the same message. What happens if those students were at meets, stay at meets, and masters, stay at masters? They're not performance droppers. And for this imaginary Learn a Lot campus, it takes them from a C to a B. So what we did in this Lean Forward training is he looked at College Station ISD, and this is our data. And so when you look at us as College Station ISD, we have these students that were masters. And when you look at that from the 736, 45, 5, 6, and 1, those students, more than 1 out of 5 students who scored masters in 23 were droppers in 24. Then we look up above at meets, we had that line there of students that were meets in 23, but were droppers in 24. So once again, they were droppers, so we don't get any credit for them in our accountability. Plus, there were meets and masters higher students, and they went backwards. Now, it's a 1 day in the life test, but yeah, what happens if our masters stay masters and our meets stay meets and are not performance droppers?
So let me just clarify. You're saying we get no credit for their growth.
We
I'm
get no
assuming.
growth credit.
Right, but I mean, we still get credit for them being at a, obviously at the,
And the performance piece of
meet.
accountability, we do.
right.
And the
but not-
growth, we
no
do
growth,
not.
Right.
And as an educator, we're all about
Right, obviously, we
growing
want every
students.
student to have growth. Yes, I got it. So,
Actually, you're only going to get credit in one category. So if a child is masters and reverts back to meets based on growth, you're only going to get 1 point
The one.
for approaches. You get no points for meets. And I think that's one of the biggest opportunities for us to improve is we have some of our top performing students at a higher percentage level digressing. They're not staying the same and they're not growing. And that was one of the reasons we brought Lead Forward in. He's one of the star gurus in the state of Texas. Our staff had not been trained on these metrics. And so we're preparing, teaching kids skills, taking an exam, and not understanding the dynamics because it's very It's difficult to understand. We actually have to buy programs to segregate our data to give us what if scenarios on how we do. So we took a deep dive. It'd be once of another time to come in so John can work with our administrators and our campus coaches to understand what this, it is a game. It's an accountability game. How do we play this game? What are kids worth? How are we trying to move the metric with children? Because you can get into a situation, and I don't think we put it on here because I don't want to get into the weeds, of our kids who fail. So a student can fail, but if they went from failing at low, did not meet, up to high, we can get half-point credits for kids because they grew. And so it's not, if you take a child that had failed STAR for a couple years in a row, now it becomes a mental game. They're beat down, why do I try? And we're not asking teachers to create the impossible, we're asking them to grow kids. So if I grew a kid a certain metric each year, we're gonna get them to passing at some point in time. But they also are fighting a fair fight because we're not asking them to go from did not meet to masters. We're asking them to take steps to get them there. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we saw coming in. Our staff wasn't prepared, it wasn't their fault, for STAR 2.0. And so we're playing catch up as a school district. A lot of school districts are playing catch up. And so what we're doing moving forward is to better support our teachers who are working hard. It's not that they're not working hard, it's we've got to be working on the right things so they can see the growth of their kids. And that's something that we've taken a priority on this year. We'll be moving forward to make sure they're prepared in order to instruct kids at a level that our kids can achieve at. Because we are not, and that's why we're showing the state comparison, that's fine. Our demographics do not mirror the state. The state on average is 67% eco-dis. We're not, we're 42%. Whole different clientele. Our ratio of kids do not mirror the state. It's a whole different set of clientele of what we're doing. So when we say, hey, we're higher in the state, as we should be, we absolutely should be. We should start higher in that metric. So the needle is, what do we do as far as to provide the support that our staff needs in order to have our kids achieve at high levels? And it starts with, and we'll sort of slide in a little bit, a belief that all kids can learn at high levels. You have to truly believe that. And that's the culture we're trying to create, that we can grow all kids every day. And it starts when they walk into our doors and when they cross the stage.
I appreciate that, and I agree, and I hope we have growth for every student. I mean, obviously, we want them all to learn. I will also, but my butt in there is a little bit, I will try not to get on, well, I may save my philosophy on so much test taking and basing so much of what our kids' success on just test taking. That is a whole nother discussion here, because well, maybe I won't save it, because I'm one of those people who I think there is a good, big place, an important place for our testing. It does help us see trends. It does help us figure out where we need to improve. It does help us compare to cohorts. So there are a lot of good reasons to look at meaningful data. But I also think you can go too far in how you potentially play the game, so to say, maybe, right? That I want it's not the only measure, as we said many times. It's by far not the only measure of success for our school districts. So we got to just make sure we remember that. And then the other thing my thoughts on this is, like you said, if I have a kid at this master's level, and maybe they just made it, and I know this is how the state gives us our A through F, I understand that. But, maybe the next year they come back and they just didn't quite make masters. We still had that, so that's what happened with 20%, you're saying, maybe. We still had 80% that did again. So I don't know, how does that 20% compare to other school districts? I mean, there's always going to be a little up and down in the data, like we talked about. I mean, 80% are still there, or getting better if they're going from meets to masters. So.
And right now, at this point with litigation, we do not have comparison data.
That's part of what would be in the comparison.
We're also, what you're talking about there is, this is the state mandate. What we pushed at years ago was including the holistic student, which included fine arts, which included the other things of what kind of person are we making. So that was all pushed from this district and other districts up to the state. Our state legislator said we're not doing that. So that's why we're looking at the data based on testing. Because I agree with you, but that's why we're looking at this data that way.
And again, I want to look at it and I want to show success in the data and use the data to find out ways to make us better. I'm not saying that. I just want to make sure it's not the, and yes, that's what we're talking about today, but it's always a reminder when I, even for myself, when I get too focused in just some numbers, it's just a piece of what makes our school district successful.
Well, to understand too, the only number that matters is growing kids. Every kid is growing. It's not passing, it's growing. That number does matter. That matter, all kids growing 100% matters. And that's the numbers we look at, because if we're growing all kids, those numbers up there take care of themselves. Kids grew, you get rewarded for that. Kids don't grow, you don't get rewarded for that.
Well, I do have one question about, because we're saying this is second year, STAR 2.0. I mean, when I look at some of these and I see that the state is dropping, at the same time that we've dropped a little bit too, and we're talking about 20% of kids dropping a level, things like that. Are we comparing apples to apples? Do we know that the standard for those lines was the same this year as it was last year? Does that make sense?
The performance levels are the same.
Okay,
Give me just a minute to get to a slide,
okay, I'll let you.
and we'll see if this helps, okay? So we're gonna move that and move to state accountability, that I think brings in some of y'all's questions. So we still do have the 3-domain system, domain 1 being student achievement, which is STAR performance, CCMR, and graduation. Then we move to domain 2, which is school progress, where's your academic growth comes in, which was the tables we were just looking at, or relative performance, which goes back to STAR performance and CCMR. And then we have that final 30% domain 3, which is closing the gaps and all of the federal subgroups, which they have shifted some. But this accountability system is almost a 300-page document. We can really get into the weeds. We can talk about all the different pages, but we're not going to do that. So where are we at with accountability? We don't have an A, B, C, D, F for 2024 because, to your question, it is in litigation. They were supposed to have had a date yesterday, but I haven't heard any updates. But the thing that this litigation is questioning, the primary issue there is in red about the assessment instrument being based on empirical value and valid and reliable. Because STAR 2.0 included the new item types. And so there's a lot of questions about what you were asking about that performance levels. So that's where we are with 2024 in litigation. So then before that, 2023, it's still in litigation. The litigation for it is based on Education Code 39 there about any time during a school year. So you will see that this was 2023 accountability that was supposed to be for the 22-23 school year. But the date on the manual is November 14th, 2023, which is a part of the 23-24 school year. So that is where that litigation is being based on, and it's still in litigation. Okay. So the last ABC that we do have is our 2022 district rating, which was an 89, solid 89 for our district. And we had ABCs, we did great as College Station ISD. And those are the last ABC ratings that we have from the state, because 23 and 24 are still in litigation.
To follow up on Ms. E's question, kind of on the other, so you said everything else you think is pretty consistent from 23 to 24, like everybody was online at that point. Are the third and fourth graders having to write online?
So now there are, for all grade levels and all subjects, there can be short constructed answers, where they have to type in answers. There are drag and drop. There are questions with multiple answers. There are some drag and drop would be like fill in the blank. So very different question types. And we do have different places to practice, but it's different.
It's different. And there was been some talk too that some of the reading is graded by AI. Is that, what's the,
It's
The
the
gra- it's
grading
graded.
system.
The writing
that's what,
grading.
all the
It's the
writing,
writing.
the writing, yeah.
EA does not like you to use the word AI,
Oh, sorry.
but it is AI, absolutely. And if you look at the data across the state, in some districts that have performed well, including ours, there's a lot of zeros for kids wrote, not that they didn't write, but according to some research I've done, if you haven't addressed the prompt within the first sentence or so, it reverts to a zero. You and I both know third, fourth graders, kids are creative. They may get to a whole paragraph and then get back to it, but that software does not grade it that way. And so, correct, yes.
So if I'm understanding correctly, based on what you said, that we're training our teachers better this coming year, we're really focusing, because there's a lot of red in here, which is concerning. Is our hope that maybe next year's data will really give us a better representation of how our children are doing?
So I think it's a process. We can't magically get everything flipped around in a year. I think it starts with building confidence and support with teachers to make sure these short constructive responses and some things that kids are exposed to, that we're doing that in our daily lessons, and it's not just worksheet driven, that kids are being able to express themselves in writing. If they can write, if you can write, I mean, anything in the world you can do. And so it starts there, and it starts with getting kids access and exposing them to it. Otherwise, we don't give them access and expose, and then when you take the STAR test, good luck. And we didn't set them up to be successful. And our teachers know that. I think it's part of knowing STAR and how it's structured. Then that gives our staff a chance to pivot and thus provide support of how do we take what we've been doing and with this lesson and how do we create activities that can challenge kids a little bit more. And so it's a process.
So my question was, and it's probably outside the STAR data, but I wonder, you mentioned the STAR test, how that kid performs on a random day of the week. First, we have the MAP test, which is more better selection. I mean, it's data sampling 101. Do we see a divergence between our STAR performance and our MAP data, our local MAP data?
We can take your middle of the year MAP data. There's a metric with NWEA can do a projection based on their middle of the year MAP data on their success on STAR, and it's scarily correct. Like looking just at MAP data, we have an idea within a few percentage points of how our kids are going to perform on STAR. Now, some of them, and I think you saw with some of the data, we may have a child at middle of the year may be projected to be masters and was masters last year, and then that day just didn't have a great day and reverts back to meets. Doesn't mean our staff didn't do a good job with that child. Sometimes it's just a motivation piece, and that's kind of our frustration with the metrics. If you take a child that's masters, is it really that bad if they were meets? They still met everything the grade level was supposed to require. So there's some of the metrics we are not fans of. When I can go into detail forever about STAR, but it does give you that MAP data does make a projection that is very accurate.
Because I just feel like because we've been a high-performing district, it's hard to improve that much. Like you're saying, improving on moving those up. So my question, kind of where Darren was going, is what's tied to this, other than propaganda value? What's the matter of that B versus a B plus?
Basically, it was, this is my opinion, I'm not speaking for the district, it's a way to give public ed black eyes. It was a lead in to when they went through A through F, that was when the push for the voucher system started. And so when the 23 data, the curveball districts threw was when they sued the state, and you could not release the A through F data while they were in session to try to get vouchers passed. They wanted to basically poo-poo what we're doing. Look at here, look at all these Fs. These districts don't know what they're doing. We've got to have vouchers. It's 100% politically driven. It's not driven about kids.
And I agree, like, just to underline what everybody's saying, is it's may not be the best metric, but it's a metric to count improvement. But I think just so everybody understands, this isn't the only thing that we value our kids on. This doesn't capture, I mean, we spend, what, 20 minutes every meeting recognizing the excellence. Look at the Teachers of the Year awards, the recognition of the state and local level. So it's a blunt instrument, but obviously none of us, at least for me, I'm not looking at it as the end-all be-all of our district.
Correct.
If anybody's taking from this D1 workshop session, that this is what the district looks at only, then I don't know where y'all been, because this is just what we're talking about. This is the title of what we're dealing with. It's not a recoup of, or a revisit of map data and how we do all that. So I think it's glaring that those that are in charge of all this have probably never stepped foot in a classroom as a teacher. And that changes some things. And so I know Ms. McAdams has said it, Dr. Payne has said it. This is where we have to advocate for our kids. We have to talk to our representatives and do our part and hope for the best. And I hate to say hope for the best, because we hoped last year, and here's where we're at. But it's one of those mandated things that we have to abide by as a public educators. And so it's the data that we're given. Like you mentioned earlier, we got the data earlier this year than we did the year prior. It's a feather in our cap. Hopefully that'll be a plus, move forward and go from there. So, but yeah, I think we all can agree that this is not the only metric that is the determining end-all be-all of what College Station ISD is.
Maybe Ms. Hester will back me up here, but as a professor, if they got an 89, I'm going to round it up to an A. We good? Yeah.
So I know this is a lot of information to dig into, and it's something that y'all will constantly look at throughout the year, but are there any patterns or anything that kind of jumped out at you so far looking at this, as far as areas of particular concerns, or like, yeah, this sixth grade cohort over here, we're concerned as they moved up and their numbers stayed. I mean, is there any of that yet that y'all have gotten into, or will you?
Biggest concern we have is we had several grade levels with drops across the board, across every campus, which tells us we've got some systemic issues. So I think one of the things that we're going to dig into this year is our curriculum. Are there holes in our curriculum? If our teachers are teaching the curriculum that we've been writing and the metric isn't there, we may need to revisit the curriculum and make sure we're addressing the standards that are being tested. And so I think it's kind of a internal view of what we're doing. We're going to look potentially at TASA doing a curriculum audit to audit our curriculum to make sure we do not have holes in it. Because if we do, obviously we're asking teachers to fight an unfair fight. That you're following a curriculum that's not giving our kids what they need. And they can work as hard as they want to, but if it's not the right standards, that's on us. And so we'll take a deeper dive into that this year. We'll have teachers involved in that process as well. There's other curriculums out that you can purchase that provides teachers with more resources. And so there's just some things we need to visit about as a teaching and learning team to make sure we're providing all the resources that our staff needs to be successful.
And I'll just add, I really appreciate your comments about, how this is so much driven by to some degree, driven by the state and their efforts to try to undermine public education. So yeah, they are, even though I hate playing the game, they are forcing us to some degree to be in the game if we, if we want to be successful. So that's unfortunate. I'm going to ask one more question on this, because there's one piece one way we didn't look at this data, and I don't know if we were going to do this later, because one of our, obviously one of our strategic goals is the performance of some of our underperforming student groups. And so we didn't have any of this separated out that way. When are we going to look at those?
We can run that for you. We have it. We just decided not to present that tonight, just giving you a broader picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
No, just thanks for all this data crunching. It's a lot, obviously. There's a lot in there too.
That'll bring us to item D2, receive a report on professional learning and CSISD.
Mr. Denson, do we have all the presentation files? Okay. Oh, it's just in the same set of slides.
Yes, ma'am.
This is new. I apologize.
All right.
Okay. I should not have exited. All right, now I know for next time. So good evening, Mr. Horak, Dr. Harkrider, and members of the board. I am excited to be here tonight to talk about professional learning with my new compadre, Dr. Letty Roman, the elementary executive director. In the past, we've shared a lot about what we do to support teachers within our school district. But today we're taking a little bit of a different lens on that. And so when we're talking about professional learning, we're talking about the work we do with our educators so that they are able to advance outcomes for all of our students. You know, Mrs. McAdams, you alluded to goal 2, specifically of elevating outcomes of underperforming student groups. The work we do with professional learning is about that work, but also about making sure all students are growing, as y'all were just looking at, through the multiple means and multiple lenses like the STAR data, MAP data, and lots of different points of reference and views. So in general, when we talk about professional development, we're talking about more event-based learning experiences for teachers. That could be our required trainings, bloodborne pathogens, all of those different things that we have to do as required for this date. In October, for example, we'll have mental health first aid training. That really falls under that category of professional development. Our required GT hours, our launch for professional learning communities, for example, in August. All of those different types of experiences. And we're really shifting our lens more toward professional learning, looking at how we work together in collaborative teams to become a professional learning community, and then how we support that work through instructional coaching. And so we're really going to focus on those 2 areas tonight to share the work that we've done so far this year and what we have planned in the year to come to support our teachers.
Okay, so good evening. So as we get started, we're going to talk about what is the difference between a professional learning community and just the traditional professional development. If you think about a college class that you once have taken, you went to a professional development, you went and you learned, you sat and listened, and when you left, the learning stopped. And that's the difference, because in a professional learning community, it is ongoing, interactive, and customized to the teacher's needs, and it gives educators agency, which is treating them like a professional. Let them learn and grow in areas of need and support the learning and growing of their colleagues. A professional learning community also contributes to collective teacher efficacy. Collective teacher efficacy is the belief that a group of teachers can positively impact their students. It's a science-backed behavior that's considered one of the most important factors influencing student achievement, specifically greater than socioeconomic status, greater than their home environment and parental involvement, and greater than student motivation. And that's what leads, what professional learning communities leads to is increased collective teacher efficacy. So what is it? Never-ending process in which educators commit to working together to ensure higher levels of learning for every student. Dr. Harkrider already spoke of this exact quote, higher levels of learning. You might be thinking, well, some of our kids are going to schools that are performing very well. Well, until we have 100%, we still have students with needs. We have students that there's some parent that has sent their child to school and is expecting them to be successful, and so we still have work to do. And every student is all means all. We even have shirts that say all means all, and we are dedicated to that. And how do we do that? We are looking at 4 critical questions.
What do we want students to know and be able to do? Those are our standards given to us by the state. How will we know if they learn it? That is looking not just at a STAR test, but skill by skill throughout the school year. We are progress monitoring our students to see how they are doing through assessment. How will we respond when students do not learn? That, of course, is our intervention practices. And how will we extend the learning for students who are already proficient? And that is, of course, our extension activities. So professional learning communities is a cultural shift. In your packet, you have an expanded version of this sheet right here. It is not something that we can just change practices through an email or even a one-day conference. Cultural shift takes time in building trust because it's a shift from teachers working in isolation to teachers working in collaborative groups. The focus is now shifted from really looking at a student's background to now really focusing on their future. And again, the professional development shift, as I've already described, from learning by listening to learning by doing. So I just wanted to wrap up also for professional learning communities. There's also a sheet in your packet pointing to pages and pages of research that backs the work of professional learning communities. It's just an opportunity for educators to share resources, expertise, and best practices to improve teaching and learning.
So this year in our district, we have launched a professional learning communities district-wide. We have some early adopter campuses. There are 7 who have been doing this work a little bit longer than all of the others. But working toward becoming a true professional learning community has actually been part of our district improvement plan for the last 3 years. And we're really excited to see the work that we are coming to fruition, if you will, in those collaborative team meetings as they are really leaning into those 4 critical questions, making sure that all members of the team have the depth of understanding to be able to ensure all students are achieving the high levels of learning that we'd like with those essential skills. Kid by kid, skill by skill, I think if that's one idea you take away about what a professional learning community is, that's what we're really looking at, is working collaboratively to ensure that all kids get what they need from our teams of teachers. And so to support that, we've shifted our structures around instructional coaching in the district. So we have at all 10 elementaries and our 3 intermediate and 3 middle schools, 2 full-time coaches. There's an ELA social studies coach and a math science coach at each of those campuses. At the high schools, we do not have full-time coaches, but we are supporting our department chairs in working toward a hybrid model. And I want to emphasize we're working toward it. Right now, during this first 6 weeks, they have been supporting their departments in launching professional learning communities, developing depth of understanding and expertise, and we're bringing on the individual coaching of teachers throughout the rest of the school year with that group of folks. With our other instructional coaches who are full-time, Dr. Roman and I have what I would call the great privilege of getting to work with them every Friday to collaborate and learn together and to plan their next moves as they strive to make an impact on their campus. And so through instructional coaching, they are partnering with their teachers, with their campus principals to utilize research-based best practices, to continue to grow teachers, because when our teachers are growing, we know that our students will grow as well. We will see that in our academic outcomes. They are modeling strategies, reflecting with teachers, really digging in to multiple pieces of data, from common formative assessments, which might be as simple as an exit ticket that's one question, but you can get a lot of information about a student's learning from quick checks like that, all the way up to our more summative, formalized, district-created and campus-based assessments, to disaggregating math data, or MAP, not math. MAP is math as well, but anyway. And then giving that high-quality professional learning that is just in time, in the moment when they're with those teacher teams. For example, if someone is struggling with small group instruction and how to pull different groups in the class setting, then right in that moment, rather than waiting for our next professional development designated day, instructional coaches are able to give them what they need and coach them in that next instructional move just in time. So some of the additional benefits of having coaches is that we are able to give personalized, confidential support to teachers. They have that ongoing, just-in-time, job-embedded professional learning. And teachers are able to refine their craft, whether they're being coached in their collaborative team setting, in a small group of teachers based on a specific need or skill that they're wanting to work on, or as individuals. They get that structured support, and we're excited to see the results as that will lead to the improved learning of our kids through those systems. We also have increase some levels of support from our curriculum and instruction department that we get to work with. Our content coordinators, as y'all know, we have four content coordinators. Say that very quickly. And they are K-12. And so they have been working and supporting with our instructional coaches to be able to maximize their impact. And also have been able to spend time firsthand in collaborative teams, providing training. You know, we just finished beginning of the year MAP, and so they're helping our teachers make sure they're leveraging that data to the best of our abilities to plan our next instructional moves. They're providing a lot of support related to data literacy, how to use our instructional resources, such as the new science materials that we have. And so forth. And we've put some systems in place that we are better monitoring the time that we're spending on our campuses. And so I just glanced, and we're at like over 280 campus visits, and like those are multiple hours. You just think about the amount of time and support that we've been able to give as a CNI staff to this work. We're very proud of that impact and what we're seeing in looking at supporting teachers in a different way, building on the foundation that we have set with the background knowledge with professional learning communities that has been built in past years. So, you know, we have, I'll just speak on behalf of myself, as Dr. Harkrider did earlier. You know, I've been in College Station ISD for 23 years. Our mission statement has been success each life, each day, each hour. I'm excited that when we're talking about what that success is, it absolutely encompasses that unique success that our vision statement shares as well. But ultimately, when we talk about success, we've redefined that and calibrated around this idea that when we're talking about success, it is about all kids achieving and growing at high levels. And we know we have to make some changes into how our systems are structured so that we can guarantee that. And that's what we're doing with our coaches and with professional learning communities. We'd love to take your questions as well.
Could you give an example of, let's say, I don't know, an elementary school teacher, the difference in their day or their training or their development with a PLC versus how it was done in the past at most of our campuses?
Absolutely. Sure. Take it.
I'd be happy to answer that question. So in the past, you would probably see teachers just coming together to plan, basically saying, what are we going to do Monday? What are we teaching first, second, et cetera, and go through the week. What professional learning communities does is they come together and they are really looking at the state standards that we've been given, taking a lot of time to unpack the standards and see what are the prerequisite skills, what do they need to know here, what will they need to know going forward. So unpacking the standards and having a common understanding of that standard, which is a huge, huge part of the work, is just understanding the standards. You would be surprised at the different ways they can be interpreted. It's kind of like code. You have to figure it out. So they unpack the standards, get a common understanding. They can share instructional practices. They can share materials and talk about what is the best way to teach this standard. They might even model those instructional strategies and practices, share materials so that when they go into their planning, they're all ready for high levels of success, which is what our goal is. That is the difference. And so you would have an additional time that you spend unpacking the standards, learning about the standards, deciding as a team, what do we deem as proficient? What do we think is, below or exceeds, sort of like putting a rubric together of success so that, again, we've got this common understanding of what success will look like at each standard.
I love to see y'all's enthusiasm when y'all are talking about this, because I think that will filter down. Have y'all received feedback from some of the campuses, especially the early onboarders? Like, I know change is hard, how are the teachers feeling about this, the staff?
A couple of comments. So change takes time, cultural change takes time. So on one hand, I think that every training that we've had, including today, you have people walking out of the training just bursting, so excited, they're thrilled. I know exactly what I want to do. I know my next steps, so happy. But I would just be honest with you that some people are stressed because it's new and everybody handles change a little differently. I'm one of those odd people that I love and I embrace change. I think it's amazing. Not everybody is that way. So we as a district have been super patient and understanding with everyone as they move through the change, knowing it is a cultural shift in what they do. But at every moment, we believe it is the right move for all students to learn.
Yeah, and Letty touched on this earlier. It's one of the few times that this is an initiative that teachers right now are stressed about. They don't want to do something wrong. Like, I don't want to do it wrong because their teachers are pleasers. And so it's the first time most staff development in my 24 years have been, this is what we're doing, this is what it looks like, go make it happen. Do it ABC. So this is the first time the teachers are getting the keys to the car. This is your PLC. You're going to run it. You tell us what you need to be successful. So there's that angst with teachers that don't want to do something wrong, and really an angst with principals. We want to do this right, which is it's great. You can't do it wrong. If you're taking steps to grow kids and to move your PLC forward, there's no wrong way to do it. The only wrong way to do it is to not do it and to continue to do and work in isolation. So that's really something that we've reiterated with our instructional coaches. I've talked to them last week, our campus principals, and we will get out on campuses and watch the PLCs work and really encourage our staff that there's no way to do this wrong. We're taking steps to get there. And my biggest focus is to create change, true change, you've got to create momentum. You've got to get the ball rolling. That's the hardest part. That's why true systemic change very rarely happens in any organization, because you get resistance and you stop, or you start compromising what we're doing. We are not going to compromise our belief that all kids can learn and grow at high levels. Never. Patience is part of it. And my goal is with our campus principals as we create momentum with this process by the time we hit Thanksgiving. Because at that time, if we stick with it, teachers are going to start to see kids learning at higher levels. They're going to see the light bulb going off. They're going to realize we're dividing and conquering the work. It's not all on me in isolation on a Sunday trying to plan my entire week's lessons. And once they start seeing that momentum and kids being more successful, their frustration lowers, and then we create an excitement of we're not doing something to you, we're doing something for you and supporting you in that work.
I'm glad we're sharing more information about the PLCs and what they look like. I mean, that's something I've asked for as somebody who, really early on didn't know a whole lot about them. And like your question of what does this look like for our teachers? What is it looking like for our students? To me, this is a piece of it, right? You're talking about how this is kind of the learning piece and the professional development piece of it. So on that piece, I guess where are we fitting this time in? And are the coaches in a classroom setting, or is it when the teachers are meeting together? I mean, how are they getting enough time to get coached, I guess, in that? And I guess the other piece, because I think I like Heather's question too about, obviously how are the teachers reacting? You said you got excitement on training today. What percentage of teachers have really, you felt like kind of got the training? Are we getting past some of that momentum hump, right, to get enough folks knowledgeable about where we are, so hopefully they can see the why and get excited about it, right?
So every campus has a guiding coalition, which is led by their principal, but it has representation from all facets of their campus. And so really the work on each campus is crafted by that leadership team at the campus level, which has strong teacher representation on it. Most of those folks were able to attend the Summer Institute last summer, whether it was high impact teams or the PLC at work. And then whether they were in the first cohort last year or this year, we have 6 days of coaching academy training for members of the Guiding Coalition, which really is designed to continue to deepen understanding of all of these different concepts. This is an iterative process. I'm going to go back to that phrase, learning by doing. As they work their way forward, there's a natural progression of coming up against an obstacle or a stumbling block and needing to try something different. But the exciting piece of it is that they're crystal clear on the expectations around what we want our students to be doing. And have common measures and common understandings of whether we have gotten there or not, and then work collaboratively with their team to figure out what the just right next move is. And so there are multiple layers of folks on every campus who have been trained. We will continue to bring that on. But all campuses were supported by the district in having a set of learning outcomes, learning targets for us as educators, and a slide deck to customize, if you will, for your campus to make sure that we are coming back to those key ideas, the 3 big ideas, the 4 questions. How are we going to do this work? Are we setting up our team structures? Have we created the time within the day for teachers to be able to work as collaborative teams? What does that look like? If I had gone to, I'll give the examples of the 2 high schools and said, this is exactly how we're going to embed this in your day, you can imagine what the reaction to that would be. So principals with their guiding coalitions have made choices about how this is structured on their individual campuses and when they have that time and how often they are meeting and all of those different things. And so I would say big picture, we have some systems in place to make sure that we have lots of layers of learning for teachers, but really it's about the daily practice of doing the work together and figuring it out where we really will get that ownership of the work and the understanding as well.
And to
Go ahead.
To comment a little bit about the student experience, I think one of you asked that question. So let's think back traditional school. Again, as I described in the beginning, so everybody might decide we're going to teach this standard on Monday, then this one Tuesday, and then everybody leaves and goes and does their own thing. What a professional learning community does, like I described, is they're sitting around talking about what are the best practices, what strategy will get all students to learn at high levels. So now when they go back to their individual classrooms, we've got a first-year teacher, we've got a veteran teacher, and we've got somewhere in between who are all doing some beautiful practices where the school principals now can say to every single parent, you can go into any single classroom and they're all going to be amazing. Whereas any educator in this room, you could probably ask them what was their first year of teaching like. And I know I personally should write an apology letter to a lot of people from my first year of teaching. We all make tons of mistakes. This helps all the teachers ensure high quality education in every single classroom. And so the student experience changes because of the professional learning community.
Thank you both for getting, I know it's new for a lot of people, and I've said this many times. So that alone is hard, but we know we need to make some changes. And I think at least I view our viewpoint here is, we're not going to tell a campus how to do it and how to set their schedule. They can do that, and they need to communicate and get this training out to their teachers and let their community know what's going on. But I do feel like we need to make sure, and ask you, do the CNI folks, do the teachers, do they have the resources they need for this to be successful? So I don't know if we know if there's gaps in that yet, or if there's, do you have what you need for this to be successful? I'm assuming you'd come to us if you.
I would love to comment on that. Sorry.
Well, and let me
Go ahead.
let me say one thing, and then I'll let you comment.
Okay.
We're 5 weeks into school. So I think we need to really temper the expectations of where we are versus where we're going to be. The conversation we're having right now, 5 weeks in school, is going to be a lot different than a conversation we're going to have the week after spring break. And then our next topic on the workshop sessions, I will give you.
So I've done professional learning communities in 3 districts. This makes number 3. And I've said it to anybody who'll listen, I have never seen this level of support in any of the districts yet. The district-wide training, the campus level support, the summer training, all of it is so comprehensive. I am completely blown away at the dedication the district has made to supporting all campuses and the learning of the systems to increase student learning. So my perspective, for whatever it counts, it, it's unbelievable the level of support this district has provided the campuses.
Your perspective counts a lot, so
Well,
thank you.
I'll just piggyback on that with, the time we have every Friday with the instructional coaches is really allowing us to know what they need in that moment and help provide those support. So whether it's coming from a content coordinator, one of us, or really, most importantly, from one another, they're sharing resources and ideas and examples of what is working on their campuses and what they have tried. And so I think that is another key. I know we're, like Dr. Harkrider said, we're only 5 weeks in, but the collaboration across campuses that we're seeing through the coaches is another layer of support that is really working well.
Thank you, that's all fantastic. I will say maybe the hardest thing that is right now hard for us to provide is more time to do a lot of this. It's a lot of new stuff for them to work on. Yep.
Anything else? Thank y'all very much. We appreciate it. D3, trustee tours. Dr. Harkrider.
Yes, sir. We've got 2 more items, and we'll get through these pretty quickly. Trustee tours, I just wanted to get you your opinion. Had an idea. It's not something new. Other districts have done it, but after being here a year and visiting with you guys, I would like to get you more exposure to what we're doing at the campus levels and to be around our teachers and students versus we bring them here, which is great. So my kind of proposal would be we'd start in October, so the 3rd Friday of every month, which will be the same Friday of our board meeting, we'd visit a campus. So we'd visit 8 campuses in 24-25. Campus principals would design what that would look like, and I'm not talking about an all-day experience. I will let you substitute teach if you'd like to. Be more than happy to drop you off there. But we would meet probably 1.5 hours max, and our campus principals would be able to expose you to what they would like to showcase you with, whether that's walking into some classrooms. I'm not for sure on our PLC schedules, but maybe put together a mock PLC for a grade level that you see how they interact and work together, possibly presentations by students, student tour, just an opportunity to get you on a campus around our kids and our staff members, and they get to see you versus just they show up at a meeting or watch you online or see your picture, and they all know you make the big bucks. But anyway, I just wanted to get your opinion if this is something y'all would be open to. If it would, we would start in October.
I think it's awesome.
Fantastic, yeah, great idea. Especially from the one school board member who now no longer has kids in the districts.
We'll get your kid fixed then. Okay, perfect. I'll get to work with some of our campuses. We'll get a schedule together. Let you know that way it's a set date. It's why I picked that 3rd Friday. We're not out of school on any of those. I don't believe it'd be a consistent schedule, so you could plan around it. Okay,
Sounds good.
Ms. Wilson.
23-24 budget closeout. That's fun to talk about.
Mr. Hurt, Dr. Harkrider, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk really quickly about our budget. I know that you were probably expecting a little bit of a deficit, and that's not how we're going to end this fiscal year. I'm really feel very blessed that we're going to end it in the positive. We still have a lot of things that we're dealing with right now and closing out. We have to accrue salaries and do some other fun accounting stuff, but we're getting pretty close to those numbers. Why you saw such a difference in the revenue, if you can think back to the beginning of the school year, and then what happened in November, we had an election and they changed our homestead exemption from 40,000 to 100,000. And so that happened after we began our school year, after the budgets were adopted. So schools had to really work and switch that state revenue and local revenue around, where the state was going to pick up additional revenue and then the local taxes were going to have less coming in. So there were some different, thank you. There were some different things that were going on at that time. And at that time, TEA in the Summary of Finance did not have something called hold harmless, where we were taking less freeze adjustment calculations. And so what happened with that huge freeze adjustment, school districts' revenue decreased considerably, as you all know. So TEA came back and did something called an imputed interest on the freeze adjustment. So they just said, they kind of looked at our historical tax revenue and tried to back into the number that away. Moat Casey got them really involved in May when the numbers came out from TEA and said, hey, this is not something that we should be doing. We really should look at freeze adjustments because the freeze adjustment is coming to the state through our property values from the comptroller's office. So they adjusted that number then in May and gave the new numbers to the school districts. What was a little catchy for our school district is because if you remember back, our numbers that were submitted to the from the CAD to the property the comptroller's office were off, and the freeze adjustment wasn't accounted for appropriately. So when they applied those numbers to the summary of finance, it was bigger than just applying our T1 values and things like that, because we had to look at that freeze adjustment number. So that freeze adjustment number meant the district got $2 million more than what we were anticipating. And so that's what you're really kind of looking at the revenue there. And then I do want to make you aware that we did budget that in the 24-25 school year as well. So you'll expect that in our numbers going forward. And so just wanted to kind of give you a heads up in case you had questions about where the revenue is coming from. Does anybody have any questions?
No, just it was, I mean, it is good news, so it's good news for our savings account, but you said you already had calculated it in the numbers when we looked at this, but next year's, or this year's budget, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We were just trying to
clarify.
get that verification from TEA that we calculated everything correctly on the summary of finance. So, yes, but we
Awesome.
did.
Maybe I'll say it, I don't say it very often. Thank you, TEA. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, Moat Casey, for fighting for us.
All right, thank you. All right, that'll adjourn us. We'll be back for a board meeting.
I misquoted.
So put this and the mouse on the podium. I'm gonna take this, we're gonna throw that away and just set that.
Gotta love it. Welcome, everybody, to our board meeting Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, 7 p.m. Item B, declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We are elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 72 hours in advance, as we have all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We've just completed a workshop meeting where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting or in upcoming meetings. This is a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We are pleased that you have taken time this evening to join us. We are very proud of this school district. We thank you for your interest in and support of our students. Bring us to item C1. I believe we have students from Riverbend and Southwood Valley.
A little short for me. Good evening, everybody. I am the proud principal of Southwood Valley Elementary. My name is Allie DeLuna, and I have a couple of special kiddos here with me, Adeline and Elias, and they are going to introduce themselves. And it's been kind of our tradition, this is our 3rd year in a row, that we've had our kids introduce themselves in their 2nd language. So that's going to happen for you tonight. Adeline is going to introduce herself in Spanish, then she's going to tell you what she said in English, and Elias is going to say his in English, okay?
Hola, mi nombre es Adalyn, estoy en segundo grado en primaria Southwood Valley. Cuando empiece kinder no sabía leer o escribir en español. Ahora yo puedo escribir, leer y hablar en español. La más favorita de mi escuela son mis compañeros y mis maestras. Además, me gusta mucho mi directora, la señora de Luna. Hi, my name is Adeline. I am a second grade at Southwood Valley Elementary. When I started kindergarten, I did not know how to read or write in Spanish. Now I can read, write, and speak in Spanish. My favorite thing about my school are my classmates and my teachers, and I really like my principal, Mrs. DeLuna. Hi, my name is Elias, and I am a second grader. When I started kindergarten, my parents spoke mostly Spanish. I am so proud. I can speak and read English and Spanish at home. My favorite thing about my school is being on a house team and going to computer class. Go Integridad. I wish Mrs. DeLuna was in Integridad with me.
These two children light up my world every day. And this one with his smile, he always wants to take a selfie. Almost every time I see it, it's like, let's take a selfie. And then he'll say, I wish you were on my house team. So he wanted to make sure and tell you guys that tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Sherman. I'm the very proud principal at Riverbend Elementary, and I have the honor of having two incredible Riverbend leader bears with me today, and they are going to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Ashley Jones. I am a fourth grader at Riverbend Elementary. I am a member of the student council. My favorite subject is science. In my free time, I like to dance. My favorite thing about Riverbend is being with my friends and being in a place where everyone belongs. Hi, my name is Noah Caruth. I'm a fourth grader at Riverbend Elementary. The activities I'm involved in is student council and social media rangers, which means I help run my school's Instagram page. My favorite subject is science, and in my free time I like to build with Legos. And my favorite thing to do at Riverbend is helping others out and making them feel like they belong. Please rise for the pledges, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Please stay standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.
Come on back here, y'all.
we have a couple of teachers tonight that we're going to recognize as well. So would my teachers come on up here? Tonight, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to recognize Beth Heber and Michael Thompson. They are both our resource teachers at Southwood Valley. And if you opened up a dictionary to find, just to look up the heart of a special education teacher, you're going to see these two faces right here. They are all in all the time. It doesn't matter what or who, they're ready to jump in to support their team, to support me, to support Mrs. Newton. And they are both constantly sending me texts and pictures of their student successes. And that just shows that they're in it every day to help those kids be just the absolute best that they can be. And every day is a new day. Every day is a fresh day. And they take every challenge with, okay, how are we going to figure this out? How are we going to make this easier for everybody? And so when it was my turn to recognize somebody, it was a no-brainer. These two definitely deserve more than just my words, but that's all you're going to get tonight. Sorry. But thank you so much for all of the hard work that you pour into our kids at Southwood Valley every single day.
All right, if my Riverbend Leader Bears will come on up. As they come on up, I have the honor of introducing and celebrating and recognizing the hard work of our Riverbend CLAMP team. CLAMP stands for Computer, Library, Art, Music, and PE. And with us tonight, we have computer teacher Maritz Castro, PE coach Don Weir, librarian Kate Cruikshanks, art teacher Jenny Houchins, and music teacher Rebecca Walters. Not with us tonight is our librarian assistant Kayla De Leon and our PE assistant coach Clifford Phipps. I too, when I had to think about a group of teachers or a teacher to recognize, this is a no-brainer for me. At Riverbend, our mission is to ensure excellence and celebrate unique successes of every learner every single day. And this team, for me, embodies our vision and mission every single day. We talk a lot about educating the whole child, and we all know as educators that it is so important to tap into different aspects of children and find unique successes, and they do that in their classrooms every day. When I think about Dawn and Clifford, I think about how they are teaching students at a very early age how to throw a ball, how to run properly in correct form, producing our future athletes. When I think about Maritz and the keyboarding and the coding that she's teaching, and I think about how that is a unique lifelong skill that every single one of us need to know in our lifetime, and she does a great job of building that foundation. When I think about Kayla and Kate building those early literacy skills and exposing children to a variety of genres that far exceed the classroom libraries, I can't imagine not having them on our campus to do that. Jenny takes kindergartners and she gets them to do art in ways that looks like Picasso. I don't know how she does it, but she does it, and it is fabulous. And Rebecca, she takes the students and somehow they're all harmonious and playing xylophones, and it blows my mind how she does it. But each one of them are experts in their own field, and they do it so effortlessly. When I think about your team as a whole, though, there's 3 words that come to mind, and that is dedication, collaboration, and impact. A few of you may know this, but not all. They see every single student in the entire building. And when I say every, I mean every, because at Riverbend, even our early childhood Head Start children come through CLAMP. So they are seeing 3-year-olds all the way up to 4th graders every single day. That means they're responsible for knowing 5 grade levels worth of TEKS. They're responsible for tracking accommodations for 5 grade levels worth of students. And they're responsible for building relationships across 500 plus students. And Kate does that for 2 campuses. So the dedication that they show every day by showing up and doing those hard things is remarkable. Secondly, collaboration. This team is phenomenal at filling in where there are gaps. They never let the ball drop. When there is a musical, you pull behind the curtain and you will see Jenny's artwork. You will see Dawn running technology. You will see Kate and Maritz and Coach Phipps and Kayla teaching students songs and providing prompts for them to remember their lines. It is truly a team effort each time we put on a musical. And lastly, impact. I want to talk a little bit about Riverbend as a campus and the work we've done within PLC. Our campus has moved remarkable in the last 3 years, but that does not go unnoticed without you, and that does not fall short on me every single day. Because these folks, when our teachers are having their embedded collaborative team times and working through the PLC process, these folks are providing our students with enrichment clubs, which means our teachers get to be with us in a room talking about data and ensuring high levels of excellence for every single child, while these folks are providing them with enrichment clubs, builders and makers, Minecraft, creative logic thinking, all sorts of things that are tapping into other creative sides of our students, which we all know is super important. So I just want to thank you so much, because your impact far succeeds any words that I could ever give you. And again, that's all you're going to get from me tonight as well. But this year at Riverbend, our motto is be all in, whatever it takes. And you guys embody that every single day. I'm blessed to work with you. I'm better because of you. And thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Josh Simek. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Operations. New this year at our school board meetings beginning this month, we will recognize 3 of our auxiliary employees. It's something that's going to be, it comes as recommendations from principals. So we hear a lot from campuses. We hear a lot from people in the community. And the 3 people that will be recognized tonight by Paul Buckner, our Executive Director of Facilities, and Shannon Caltharp, our Director of Transportation, are people that have had phone calls made to myself or to one of them bragging about the jobs that they've been doing. And so we're really excited and humbled to be able to honor them today, because without them, what we do every day, what our campuses do every day, would not be able to happen. So let me turn it over to Paul Buckner, our Executive Director of Facilities.
Okay, so Henry, Randy, if y'all want to come up here. Henry Garcia is in our custodial department, and he is the lead custodian at Pecan Trail. He has been with the district for about 2 years now. Been told about multiple, he does an exceptional job in maintaining cleanliness and upkeep across the campus, and has great rapport with the team at Pecan Trail. Then Randy Vidoc is one of our carpenters for the district, and he has been with the district for roughly 21 years. And not only does the campuses he maintains, but you'll probably see him across the district giving someone else a hand that needs it in the various other departments in our maintenance group. So just want to recognize them tonight for all their hard work they give us.
Good evening, everyone. I am Shannon Caltharp. I'm the Director of Transportation, and if I could ask LaQuitha Morrow to come up with me. Chuck, where you at? This is Chuck. Also, this is my driver supervisor at Transportation. I just want to let you guys know how awesome it is that we're able to do this, and I can showcase some of my wonderful staff. I don't think that they're showcased enough. So we do this kind of in-house, but I'm glad to be able to share you with our community. I've gotten numerous calls about Miss Morrow, about her wonderful job that she's been doing on her bus. I will let you know she's only been with us for almost a year. She actually started in January of 2024 as a monitor. So she spent some time on the bus trying to get to know the kids, getting just to find out where her fit was. And then she decided, hey, I want to become a bus driver. To us, that's wonderful, because that doesn't happen all the time. So she took the big plunge. She did all the studying. She did all the training, all the testing, and she became a bus driver. She did that over the summer, and there she was, always willing and ready to help us. Anytime we needed a sub for kids club or summer school or anything like that, she was there to answer the call after she got her license. She was so excited about it. And when we started the school year, she actually took on a really awesome route that we had a little bit of trickiness trying to get all the times right, getting everyone to every campus on time. And she did everything in her power to try to help us get it right and get it done. And she did an awesome job. So for us to say she is a blessing on our department, that is a small feature. She is wonderful. And we just wanted everyone to know how much we appreciate her. And so not only will you get a parking space, just for you at transportation, but we also have a gift certificate and a gift card for you. Thank you so much for all the wonderful things that you do at our department, and we love to share you with our community. Okay. Can I just sit this down? Yep.
Good evening. President Horak, Dr. Harkrider, and members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to be here and speak with our community regarding instructional coaching in CSISD. Hi, I'm Andrew Vitek, and I've had the privilege of opening Welborn Middle School in 2018. I've been a part of Welborn's team in a few different roles as a 7th grade math teacher, an instructional coach and interventionist, and now I serve the campus as a math science district instructional coach. My hope tonight is to shed light on what instructional coaching is, how CSISD has equipped the district instructional coaches to take on this responsibility, and the impact we intend to have as we strive for growth for all students and all teachers. So, what is instructional coaching? This past July, Welborn's instructional leadership team attended Solution Tree's High Impact Teams in Austin. One of our keynote speakers presented data regarding teachers entering education. The data he presented indicated that teachers get into education because they want to make a difference. But they stay in education because they have the skills, resources, and tools to continue to make a difference in each student's lives. That statement not only struck me, but it's also helped mold for me the way that I think about instructional coaching. The role of instructional coaches, my role, is to invest in our teachers, support their growth, because as our teachers improve in their skills, there will be a direct impact on student growth. In her book, Simply Instructional Coaching, Nicole Turner says it this way: the role of instructional coaches is to help close student achievement gaps and accelerate learning for all students by building teacher capacity through implementation and effective instructional practices. So with this in mind, what does this look like in practice? How have we been equipped to take on this task? At the beginning of the school year, all district instructional coaches and campus principals received 3 days of training from Nicole Turner regarding her Simply Instructional Coaching model. During this training, my team, along with every campus in our district, developed plans for launching and sustaining instructional coaching. Her action follows the acronym SIMPLE. S, starting with a vision. I, introducing instructional coaching to the staff. M, measuring the impact of coaching. P, providing strategic support. L, launching coaching cycles. And E, engaging in professional learning. I'd like to highlight 2 of these for y'all right now: providing strategic support and engaging in professional learning. Regarding providing strategic support, in CSISD, all teachers will be coached, but the way that they receive coaching will look different. Instructional coaches will work with collaborative teams, provide professional development, and coach individual teachers. When coaching collaborative teams, coaches develop the skills of our collaborative teams in 4 different areas: identifying essential standards and developing student-friendly learning targets, creating team formative assessments, providing extra time and support so that students can receive intervention if needed, but also extend their learning when necessary, and then also assessing comprehension at the end of units. When leading professional development, instructional coaches provide professional learning opportunities on particular skills or instructional strategies with different groups of teachers. And then thirdly, instructional coaches will also coach individual teachers. Nicole Turner in our training introduced instructional coaches to what she calls the core four: content, instruction, organization, and management. CSISD's instructional coaches will use this core four as a framework for support for teachers through a plan, act, and reflect cycle. Instructional coaches are also going to engage in professional development throughout the year to continue to hone our skills as we support our teachers through supporting our students. CSISD's district instructional coaches are receiving bi-weekly ongoing professional learning with Nicole Turner of Simply Instructional Coaching. Not only will she share the resources, tools, and procedures that she has learned based on her instructional expertise, but she's also going to field questions and support us as we are where we are. In addition to working with Nicole Turner, one of the highlights of my week is the job-alike collaboration and professional learning that I get to experience every Friday with our executive directors of instruction, Tiffany Parkerson and Letty Roman. As a collaborative team, we've had the opportunities to laugh together, share challenges with each other, and most importantly, learn from the experience and wisdom of nearly 50 educators in the room. As of today, we've had 3 opportunities to meet, and each time we collaborate, I'm returning back to Welborn Middle School with the skills, tools, and resources necessary to make a difference. Investing in people is important to me. Investing in teachers is important to me, and investing in our students is also important to me. Instructional coaching is hard work. It is good work. When we invest in our teachers, we also are investing in our students. Teacher growth directly impacts student growth. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me.
That'll bring us to C3. Make sure if y'all leave before the meeting's over that we want to recognize the artwork at the back. Obviously, y'all have heard it's close to Picasso's work, so make sure you look at that because they're from Sia Grove and Southwood Valley Elementary. So that'll bring us to item D1, board reports. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first. So Ms. Ege, Mr. Decker, and myself all serve on the District Educational Improvement Council, and it was my first meeting. Really excited to be on this committee this year. Kind of just a general first meeting of the year. We did talk about the district improvement plan, which will be talked about later on in this meeting. And they're actually going to start calendar planning next year, which is crazy because we just started the school year, but that's how quickly they get on it. So just looking forward to serving on this committee.
We met this month for Education Foundation, and Education Foundation always has a lot going on. But right now, one thing to note is on Monday, we start the process of bringing in Dinosaur George to all of our elementary schools. And that's a program where Dinosaur George will bring a traveling museum that focuses a lot on dinosaurs, and the kids get to spend the day seeing that, and then the families can come after school is over to see it as well. And I know when some PTOs brought him a number of years ago when my kids were in elementary, it was really great. So lots of things going on with Education Foundation, but that's one to note.
Anything else?
The intergovernmental committee meeting was yesterday. Both myself, Mr. Decker, and Dr. Harkrider were present. We kind of had a continuation of our previous meeting where we were getting updates from the Brazos County Health Department. Probably the big thing for us as a board to just be aware of is seeing a little bit of spike in avian flu and West Nile. So just keep that on the radar. And then also the health department is probably going to, I don't want to put words in their mouths, but approach us in the next couple of years about becoming a member of their board, which has some benefits, but would also have some cost involved, I'm sure. Last thing from that committee meeting was Commissioner Aldrich, who is leaving the board, the Commissioner's Court in January. We've got to find a replacement for him, and so Mr. Decker and I nominated Dr. Harkrider. And just kidding. So, but so there will be a new head of that committee here in the next few months.
Nice. Goodness.
I just wanted to share something the board knows, but the members of the community and employees here don't know. In addition to teaching at A&M and then serving on the board, I also serve in the Air Force part-time as in the Air National Guard, and I will be gone on a deployment for the next 6 or 7 months. So when I get back, I'll roll back on the board. But I just want to share, in this community, we have a passionate, enthusiastic parents. This is an educated community, which is great, and feedback is welcome. And when you catch me in HEB or at the football game while my bluebell's melting in the cart, and want to share things with Mr. Grimes, the music of volleyball is too loud. Last year's too quiet, but this year's too loud. So just want you to know that. But keep in mind what we're dealing with nationally. Teachers have been leaving this profession. In 2021, they left at a record rate. And in 2022, they broke that record. In 23, they broke the record again. In 24, they broke the record again. And at the same time, in our state, in Texas, the governor has not increased funding since 2019 and imposed unfunded mandates. We're funded on attendance, not enrollment, by one snapshot date. And public education is under attack. So they want to push uneven voucher agenda, where private schools, private students would get more money than public. So where I welcome your passion and your criticism and your enthusiasm, the board here is oversight. We do not determine funding or curriculum or have the ability to increase resources. So if you want more resources, more teachers, more support, then contact your state board of education reps. They're elected officials. That's what they're there for. Talk to your legislators. Are they funding public education or not? Right? Make your vote count and contact the people in Austin who can help change these things. The people that are here work so hard to educate your children. My wife, who will endure this with my daughters while I'm gone, teaches around 130 14 to 15-year-olds. Have you been around that many 14 or 15-year-olds? Have you been around your own? One or two is enough, right? The people that are here work really, really hard. So please prop them up. Fight for public education. Find ways to get involved and be a part of the solution. I've volunteered in this district since 2016, and I'll do another 3 years on the board. Education's for everyone. It gives everyone the opportunity to succeed. That's what we do in public education. We cannot do more with less. Please, we need your help now more than ever. Thanks.
Before we move on, first and foremost, thank you for your service. Safe travels. See you when you get back. All right, brother. Dr. Harkrider, Superintendent update.
Yes, sir. Very well said, Dr. Payne. Beginning last week, we've had 3 consecutive weeks of our crosstown showdowns with our 2 great high schools. Last week, it was team tennis. Friday night, it is our 2 football programs. And next Tuesday will be the first of 2 games between our volleyball programs. So I would encourage you to get out. I've said this many times. I've never seen a 2 high school district that kids perform at the level that our kids perform in every single category. Fine arts, academics, anything extracurricular related, athletics. It's something special. And if you've become immune to it, please Google some other districts with 2 high schools and see how there's always a have and a have not. And we're very blessed here to have some great educators working with their kids. So it's truly special. This Friday is the end of our first 6 weeks, and looking further ahead, parents, October 10th and 11th, which is a Thursday and Friday, are 2 staff development days for our staff members so they can get caught up on some things, and October 14th is our Columbus Day holiday for the entire district.
Alrighty. That'll bring us to item D2, consider approval of an order of cancellation of general election that was to be held on November 5th, 2024, for the purpose of electing CSISD Board of Trustees Position 1 and Position 2 by qualified voters of College Station ISD. So this is just an official order that we have to turn in due to places that have unopposed positions, saving the district about $30,000 to $35,000. So appreciate Dr. Payne putting his hat in again. And so just need a motion to make sure we turn that in. All right.
I would move to accept as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ben, second by Dr. Payne. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. That'll bring us to item E, hearing of citizens. I believe we have 3. And let me read this here real quick. During this time, we will hear from citizens who registered to speak prior to the meeting in accordance with board operating procedures. The Open Meetings Act prevents us from responding to speakers regarding items not on the agenda. Comments related to items on the agenda may be discussed during deliberations on that specific agenda item. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Those needing an interpreter may have up to 6 minutes. Each person has 1 opportunity at the microphone regardless of minutes used. Unused minutes may not be accrued by another speaker. The executive assistant will time the comments and alert the president when time has expired. The board asks those addressing the board refrain from derogatory comments. Our first speaker is Heather Nickel. And then we're going to use this microphone right up here.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Heather Nickel, and I'm a parent of 2 students in CSISD. I'm here to continue advocating for my daughter, who greatly benefited from last year's pullout intervention, and to support the incredible teachers of CSISD. Since May, I've been accused of spreading misinformation and causing trouble. I have contacted Central Office to discuss these claims and requested a meeting, but I was informed that they were unaware of what I was referring to. Let me be clear. My goal is to not create conflict. It is to advocate constructively for the best interests of our students and teachers. I'm deeply concerned about the direction CSISD is heading. Although the school year has just begun, teachers are already overwhelmed, unheard, and disheartened. A recent survey revealed that 94% of teachers don't believe CSISD is focused on their needs or those of students. One teacher said, "We know what is best for our district. Please remember that our students are only children." They spent most of their days at school with us. Rushing them through the day is harmful. It is harmful for their mental health, and they cannot learn this way. Teachers are the most effective resource in the classroom, not a computer program or test scores or one curriculum. I believe in the potential of the PLC model, but its success depends on proper implementation and support. One teacher said, "The PLC model can benefit both teachers and students if we adopt it gradually and thoughtfully. We shouldn't have to sacrifice teachers' well-being to rush it. Time is critical, but so are the necessary tools and training." When asked if they feel equipped to implement the PLC model, 93 of respondents said no. As one teacher shared, "It's unfair to claim we will grow as one when most schools are not properly equipped." When I've raised these concerns, I was told there's an open door policy at Central Office, but many teachers fear retaliation. Since the mandates and new curriculum have put into place, teachers are working 10 to 20 hours on top of their normal hours. One teacher shared, "I can't sleep at night due to anxiety about not being able to do enough for my students. I cannot do it all. We are exhausted. My colleagues are in corners sobbing and having anxiety attacks. These demands are simply unsustainable." At convocation in August, educators were encouraged to unite as a district, but current practices are creating more division than unity. When asked, do we trust and believe in the Central Office executive team, 92% stated no, which only 8% stated yes. Now is the time for us to work together and foster real positive change for the sake of our teachers, students, and our future. We want to work with you all. Just listen. Thank you.
Next speaker is Stephen Ferguson.
Thank you for this opportunity to address the board tonight. My name is Stephen Ferguson. My purpose tonight is to reveal the major changes that have occurred at College Station High School. there is a daily 28-minute loss of class time and a huge increase in class sizes. These are the result of two programs. One is the updated professional learning community program. The second is the daily 30-minute WIN class. The lost class time came to my attention while I was looking over my son's new class schedule. The schedule has 46-minute class periods instead of the previous 50, a daily 30-minute WIN time, and a reduced 25-minute lunch break. No communication was made to explain these changes. I immediately sent an email to Principal Grimes to express my concern and request a meeting. My son and I began to investigate the changes. He asked several teachers about class sizes. They told him that class sizes were historically below 30 students. But sadly, many of those classes now host 35 to 39 students. Why was this not communicated to the students and parents? Teachers were expressing their frustration about shorter class times and larger class sizes. Tragically, the students are now feeling rushed to finish lab experiments, rushed to finish their essays, rushed to complete exams. The administration could have implemented a less disruptive program. During meeting with Principal Grimes, he informed me about the PLC program. From my perspective, the daily departmental meetings come at too high a cost. Core curriculum teachers are now teaching 5 instead of 6 classes. He described a top-down approach regarding the program decisions with no students or parents involved in the discussion. During the meeting, I requested detailed class size information. At a subsequent discussion, he said he had reviewed the class data and that the increases were relatively small. Since Mr. Grimes did not provide the size information, I contacted the communications office and received PDF files. Analysis of the class increases were more shocking than I expected, and definitely should not be characterized as small increases. These tables right here tell the whole story. The big picture is that class sizes have increased this year. During the 2023 school year, 24 core classes had 29 or more students. The number is now 80 classes for the current school year. Science classes have been hit especially hard. Class sizes increased an average of 18%, and there are 29 classes packed with between 30 and 39 students. History sizes have increased 12%, math and English classes 8 and 9%. I believe that the administration has been negligent in their lack of communication. It seems obvious why the school administration is trying to hide the increases from parents because the numbers are extremely embarrassing.
Next is Kira Rodriguez. Did I say that right? Okay. Just making sure.
I feel like I need a stool. Good evening, Dr. Harkrider and members of the board. I stand before you today to voice the concerns of our educators, those at the very heart of our district. Even though we are only 5 weeks into the school year, we've already heard a growing consensus from our teachers that they are feeling underappreciated, not respected, and at times not cared for. Many teachers have expressed a lack of support from central office, and some feel that they are not receiving adequate training or resources. Instructional coaches, while incredibly valuable, are often spread too thin, making it difficult for them to provide the assistance they were designated to give. Teachers have raised these concerns with their campus administration, but it seems that due to district mandates, administrators are unable to provide the support teachers need. When asked, do you feel empowered and allowed to voice your concerns, one respondent answered with a powerful quote, "We are empowered to stay silent." This sentiment reflects a feeling that voicing their concerns often leads to little change, a frustration echoed by many. Perhaps the most alarming statistic from the feedback we received is the percentage of teachers considering leaving our district. 71.79% answered yes, while 20.51% are undecided, and the remaining 7.69% answered no. These are staggering numbers, and they point to a larger issue. Our teachers are on the verge of leaving, not because they don't care about their students or the work that they do, but because they feel unsupported and unheard. This issue is not a resistance to the PLC model. In fact, one teacher noted that they wholeheartedly believe in the PLC model and process. However, they added that they do not believe in cutting corners and rushing the process at the expense of teacher well-being. They believe that with adequate support and most importantly time, the PLC process can yield immense benefits for both students and teachers. Ultimately, what our teachers are asking for is simple: more resources, more training, more time, and more support. I urge you to hear them. While I know the district regularly sends out surveys, the feedback we're hearing from teachers is that their responses don't align with what's being implemented. The survey I'm referring to today was created by parents, not to undermine the district's communication, but to provide a platform for unfiltered, honest feedback. This feedback is crucial if we want to better support our educators. If we do not take these concerns seriously, I fear that as a district, we will lose talented, passionate educators to burnout and lack of support. We cannot afford to let that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. That will bring us to item F, consent agenda. Those items are item G, H3, J1 through J9. And that is it.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Dr. Payne, second by Ms. Simmons. Any further discussion or question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Brings us to item H1, receive a report on Edgementum. I believe Miss Natalie's doing that. Yeah.
Is this? Good evening. I have to stay back here, don't I? Sorry. Okay, I'm going to move it like this.
You can have the walk around.
No, it's fine. Mr. Horek, Dr. Harkrider, members of the board, community, I am grateful and happy to have this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about Edmentum, specifically ExactPath tonight. I went the wrong way. These 4 questions will be answered during the presentation. What is it? Why are we using it? And how are we using the program? So 3 questions, very valuable. This all came about, the Edmentum core all came about from the beginning when I began looking through all of the digital resources that we had available here in College Station. And frankly, it was very overwhelming. Our teachers had such options that it was really hard to decide what to use and when. So this is one piece of the fruits of the labor of that redundancy audit. Study Island and ExactPath were in place in some campuses. We also utilized Education Galaxy and Liftoff. And then we used our Edgenuity for courseware in our high school for that credit recovery. We were able to, this year, consolidate into that what you see as Study Island, ExactPath, and courseware, which are all Edmentum products, and create one contract that just financially served us better, as well as minimizing the choices and still providing that high quality digital resource for our teachers and students. So I'd really like to focus on ExactPath. That is what we are rolling out this semester to our teachers and students with some targeted minute usage based on some research. Study Island is what we would love to offer the teachers as a tier 1 support. So resources that are available to support the standards and the grade level in the classroom, the new information that they're teaching. ExactPath targets those gaps. Let me start back. ExactPath is a pathway, a learning pathway created in reading and math according to that student's MAP data. So it is able to target those exact skills that create those gaps. We've, in the workshop and in the meeting tonight, we've talked about closing those gaps. And that is so hard for our teachers because with the varied types of data that we have, it's sometimes very hard to pinpoint those individual gaps for each student. ExactPath helps us do that with their real-time map data 3 times a year. And as they continue on this pathway, it supports the teachers with resources that target those exact gaps. So we truly are closing those gaps. So it is an adaptive learning program. It is truly tailored to the math and reading needs of every student that has taken MAP. Personalized pathways, like I said, the tracking, the progress monitoring and tracking can be done on both the student and parent side, a student, teacher, and parent side. We are able to empower those students to own their learning pathway. And then the detailed reports, you can click all the way down to the student, right? They're down to the student and skill. And we are in the midst of what I am calling the world tour and coming to every campus, and we're camping out all day. Teachers are able to cycle through with the digital learning team, look at real-time data in their student pathways, and understand what those indicators are within the knowledge map that I'm about to show you. This is a little bit about why. So a study by the Century Analytics in 2018 shows that just right point that lets our students get the most out of the program. And that's where that target of 40 minutes for math and 40 minutes for reading in that pathway was originated. And expectation is a scary word, but we know and we trust that our teachers know what's best for our students. So by setting a target of 40 minutes per pathway, we're allowing those teachers, if it is a structured time for exact path, and each campus has that autonomy to decide when this is best for them. The conversations that I've had on 2 campuses in the last 2 days have gone like this. No one is coming to say student X didn't get 40 minutes on their pathway, right? This is a target for us because we know that the research says when we have those 40 minutes and exposure to 8 skills, not mastery, just exposure to 8 skills in 1 year or 1 semester, so 2 times, that we can yield up to 17 percentage points and 12 percentage points in math and reading growth on that MAP assessment. In our workshop, we talked about at the MOY, how we can have that great prediction of how our students might do on STAR test based on that. We're doing the work right now to make sure our students have that opportunity to perform well on that MOY, which is giving even a better opportunity to perform on that STAR test. And like we said, those aren't the only data points that we base our success on, right? But empowering our students to own their learning, that's another data point that ExactPath helps us get to. So here is our expectation that we talked about when and target, right? So I'd like to use those interchangeably, target and expectation. When those students are working and a teacher says, hey, I see that this student needs more than a computer on this skill to help them progress. Teachers know, and teachers in College Station ISD, they care. So they're gonna pull those students. And guess what? That student's not gonna make their target for minutes. And that's okay. Because teachers know what their kids need. And we know in CSISD that we can trust our teachers to do that. So where they're going to be able to experience ExactPath would be during their small groups. When teacher is pulling small groups, they can have a station where kids are getting exactly what they need on ExactPath, right? They have structured intervention and enrichment times at campuses that principals have structured. We have our camp time. I'm not saying take them out of PE or music, but during that computer time, ExactPath is an option there for the students. We can do bell work. We can even do it at home. We can access that through ClassLink. And students that are motivated to do that at home can take some time to participate in ExactPath there. The other part that I truly love about ExactPath is the varied student views. Our K2 students, we just need them to be able to click and go, so they have a very elementary view. Our 3 through 6 students, they want to feel a little bit more grown up, still need a little of a simplified version, but they've got a little more detail. And then in our 6 through 12 students, they become more of a mature and college-like view. On the teacher side, here is what I was talking about when we can see that exact path. I need to move over here and point. This is the learning gap. It's right here. And that's where they're going. All of those green squares, they're already mastered. They don't need to experience those on their own again. They need to apply those in their Tier 1 learning. When we fill those white gaps, we afford access to that Tier 1 learning for that student on grade level. If you look at the X or the exclamation point, that's an indicator for our teachers to jump in and say, hey, I understand that I am the teacher and the computer is never going to take my place, right? But this is a support for me that says this is exactly where I need to intervene. I don't have to do any of the guesswork. I was at Rock Prairie and at Greens Prairie yesterday and the day before. And when teachers realized they could simply click on that square and a menu of resources popped up, so that if they had a tutor pushing in or they needed to plan a small group lesson, the guesswork was taken out of how do I support that skill? It was right there for them. And their eyes were like, ah, I can do this. This is doable now. So it takes a lot of pressure off of the search for those specific resources to fill these gaps, right? And 30% of our accountability we learned in workshop is filling those gaps. This is allowing every student to grow at their own pace. You know what? Some students, they are above grade level. And so their exact path takes them above grade level and pushes them beyond, right? Teachers can still intervene when they see a student performing above grade level and they need that extra push. They still have the resources that they need. So we're supporting intervention and we are supporting enrichment from this program. The easy to read dashboard makes it very easy for teachers to jump in and use that. Here's something that I would really like to highlight. This is up through last week's data. All of those white squares that you saw in there, for math, almost 4,000 of those white squares were mastered. For reading, almost 3,000. And this is not full implementation throughout the district. Like I said, the digital learning office is going to travel to each campus. And as we hit each campus, I expect to see these numbers grow exponentially when teachers fully understand the potential of the program. Here are some bright spots that I have visited. With a 90% implementation, second grade at Creekview. That means 90% of our second graders have already gotten on the program. They've got a 46-minute per week average, and they've mastered 1.6 skills. Guys, remember, 8 skills per semester exposure. They're already at 1.6. That's great. That's amazing. At South Knoll, we've got in third grade 96% implementation, a 68-minute average, and 2.1 skills mastered already. We're not even through the 6 weeks. And at first grade at College Hills, 70% implementation. I found them on the recess yard. I got to go and congratulate them. 44 minutes is their average, hitting about 1.1 average skill. So it's already in action. We are not at full implementation, and we are really seeing the fruits of the support that this platform can give both our teachers and our students. Any questions? Okay.
All right, that brings us to, thank you, Natalie, appreciate you. That brings us to item H2, receive report on 24-25 district improvement plan. Mr. Mann.
All right, good evening, everyone. Dr. Harkrider, President Horak, Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to come to you this evening to let you know that you probably noticed a format change if you looked at our district improvement plan. And that's really what I wanted to make you aware of so that you knew exactly what you're looking at. So on the left, you see what the last probably 5 or 6 years of our district improvement plan covers look like. And on the right is what it looks like this year. You think, well, it's just a cover. It's not that much different. But whenever you start turning the pages, you start to see the format is very different. And on the left is how it's been formatted for the past several years. And on the right is what it is this year. And what I really want to point out to you, the big change is because we've transitioned from creating everything ourselves within our own documents to using a program that's really targeting our focus into our areas of needs. So you've heard a lot tonight in workshop. You just heard Natalie talk about closing the gaps. This is helping us to really design our goals, make sure we're pointing our resources to the areas that we need to be pointing them at. And that's exactly what it's done. It's not that we haven't been doing it before, but whenever you use a tool that says, hey, you need to think about this area, then you pay more attention to it. And so you can see on the left, we have our goals, we have our performance objectives, which all of our strategic results are included in the performance objectives, so they haven't been omitted from anything. They're all included all the way throughout. Then we designate the high priorities, our data pieces, just like we've done in the past. And then we build out our strategies, and under our strategies, we mention what we anticipate the results are going to be, which that's something that's different from what we've had in the past. And then we also talk about who's monitoring, which we've done that previously. But something else that's new is we've added problem statements. And so part of our improvement planning process is we do what's a comprehensive needs assessment, and we identify a root cause to problems that we say are linked to our data. And that's the whole process. We've been going through that for years, but the program, the documentation of it is very explicit in saying that this strategy is linked to these issues that we've identified in our student data or in our survey data or in information that we used in our comprehensive needs assessment. And so it's just calling out very specifically things that we've been doing, but it hasn't been written in our plan this way. And so you can just see some examples, and whenever you go through all of our improvement plans, you'll see the strategies, and there's steps for each one and the problem statements that they're linked to. So the main reason that we have gone to this format really is to get us into the detail of the work, to pay attention to what we really need to be focused in on. And a lot of it is because of this. We say that we want to be the best, and the best is in the details. And so we really need to dig into the detail of our work, and we talk about SMART goals. We talk about being specific, but if we're not writing them out so we can truly measure and track them, it's hard for us to make sure that we're doing what we say we're doing. And that's pretty much the big difference that we're seeing. So, questions?
Is this on the main webpage or easy to get to?
The plans?
The tracker when it's published.
Yes, whenever. So if you look on, just like it was in the past, if you look on the right side, that's whenever we track our progresses. All that, we'll be able to re-upload any of that after we have our monitoring meetings.
Obviously, lots of changes and lots of information here, and I like that you're getting, I like the, good to great and get to the details to get there. Can you just give us a little bit of a reminder on the process of like who's involved with developing this, within the district, and and how does it link for the district improvement plan, to the campuses?
Yeah, absolutely. So we begin with, we brought the goals to you guys in the late spring. I believe it was in March or April of this year, for you guys to approve. And then we take that and we start to work with our different leadership groups across the district. And we also have the DEIC process where we share information with them and gather feedback from them as well. And we craft and develop it over the summer. And then we talk through, and just like our campus plans, the principals are working on those all the way through until just recently. We're doing the same thing with ours because we want to make sure that it's all up to date. And obviously we don't get our state assessment data in until late sometimes. And so we're waiting to see what that shows, but we know where we need to continue to focus in on. So we gather our stakeholder voice. Our strategic plan was our really big comprehensive needs assess process a couple of years ago, and we still use that as our guiding post for what we're doing. And so you'll see as you go through this, the strategic plan is all throughout the document. It just looks in a different format, but the things that we're doing is all still part of our focus area. So still a lot of stakeholder voice in the process. Other questions or wondering?
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Mann.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Oh, what you got? You sure? Okay.
Okay.
That'll bring us to item K1, consider approval of the middle school athletics improvements. Mr. Buckner.
All right, good evening. So during the 2023 bond planning process, it was determined, one of the projects determined in it was the middle school athletic improvements at the three middle schools. This project includes replacing the fields at the middle school stadiums with turf and replacing the track at two of the middle school locations, that's Welborn and College Station middle schools, and then expanding the seating capacity, replacing restroom concessions buildings at both College Station Middle School and Consolidated Middle School, and converting the stadium lighting at Consolidated Middle School and College Station Middle School to more efficient LED lighting. Welborn already has the LED lighting, and their existing restroom concession will be enlarged just to accommodate the number of restroom facilities that is required with the increased capacity of the seating. With that, we used the competitive seal proposal method as our procurement method for this project. We opened the proposals August 29th, and from that we had 3 companies submit proposals for this project. And from those 3, Chakotay Construction of College Station is our recommended contractor for it. They provided the best value as well as the lowest cost for the project. The project came in after the selected alternates and everything at $11,829,676. That does include security fencing at both College Station Middle School and Consolidated Middle School, which was not part of the original project, but since we had a contractor on site, it was deemed to go ahead and include that fencing. That fencing portion will be out of a safety grant versus 23 bond funds. So that will be there. And this project also has a very hefty allowances, contingencies built into it. The plan is for a majority of those to come back, but we wanted to, just in case of the tracks being replaced, once we take the surface down, hopefully they're in good condition. We don't have to do anything extra, but it's kind of protecting that because we don't know yet as soon as we get that. But a lot of that will be coming back to us. And I'm confident that it will, this project, when it's all said and done, will be at or below what was budgeted during the 23 bond planning process. And then this project is slated to start as soon as we're able to get on the fields after season for the middle schools, and has a 2-part substantial completion with the turf portion around the middle of February, and then the rest of the project beginning of August. Partial of that is long lead items for bleachers and everything. Roughly those are about 6 months right now. But hopefully that'll be the last part, is the bleachers, and that should be the only thing we're waiting on as we get into the summer. So any questions about the project? Or
Transitioning to turf saves us a lot of water, right? Grounds crew, maintenance.
saves us water and maintenance on it. There will be some added costs with maintenance on those, but we'll incur that like we do with the 2 high school stadiums with the annual cleaning and running magnets over it to pick up any debris and all that kind of stuff. But yes, it will reduce costs of lining the fields with time and effort from our grounds crews, as well as the watering and everything else that goes along with the natural grass.
Can you just clarify, the timing, and is there going to be, what will be the impact on some of the middle school sports going on? It sounds like you're doing it after football, but what about the spring sports? Or
that is why the turf portion and, the track portion also is this mid-February. We should be, if all goes to plan, there's not terrible weather, we should be done with that portion before spring sports start, and we will make accommodations for restroom facilities if those aren't ready when those start at their campuses. But a lot of the meets and everything that happen for those are happening at our high school stadiums versus the middle school stadium. So football is the main one that is the users of the middle school stadiums.
So you just ensured a week-long snowstorm. That's what.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Motion approved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Payne, second by Ms. Simmons. Any further discussion or question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Buckner.
you.
That will bring us to item N, adjournment.